Imagine, like, building a prison so impossibly secure that the locks are made of, pure divine magic.
Right, and the guards don't even remember who or what they're supposed to be guarding.
Exactly. Welcome to the Deep Dive, everybody. Today we are unpacking a total masterclass in collaborative storytelling.
Oh, it really was.
We're looking at the jaw-dropping finale of Session 3 of the Mourningfall campaign. It's fittingly titled, Beneath Mourningfall's Haunted Depths.
Yeah, and if you've been following the players at this table, you know things just escalated, like completely shifted from a mystery to a full-blown survival horror experience.
It is such a massive pivot in tone. So let's catch you up real quick. If you're joining us, we're following a party of 4.
Right, so we have Aelion Colanthri, who's a half-elf paladin of Torm. We've got La Maestra, the razor-sharp half-elf blade bard. Levius, this super perceptive tiefling spellcaster.
And of course, Alan J. Hooting, the elf rogue who, well, we're definitely going to get to his solo misadventures a bit later.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, they've been trapped in this mountain town that basically suffers from localized amnesia regarding its own dead.
Which is such a brilliant hook. The villagers think a mine fire took half their population 30 years ago, but, you know, the details warp every time you ask about it.
Right. And last we saw the party, they went under a collapsed church into a sealed vault, and they found a cracked bronze bell with a terrifying draconic inscription.
Translates to sleep and forget, right?
Exactly. And there's a dead priest holding a ledger that proves 214 souls were intentionally fed to the mountain.
Ugh. And right as that horrifying reality sets in, the door above them locks. The bell cracks even more. And something massive down in the dark it exhales.
It's the ultimate tabletop trap. The dungeon master locked them in a pressure cooker.
It's like popping the hood of a broken-down car expecting a busted radiator, and instead you realize the engine is literally made of dragon bones, and it's running on cursed magic.
That is a perfect analogy. So our mission today is breaking down how they survived this descent. Because with the way up sealed, the only direction left is down.
Yeah, and the DM uses the environment to tell a story immediately. Like, the architecture contradicts the entire town's history.
Right, because they head down this mine-cut passage, but La Maestra investigates and realizes it was walled up before the disaster 30 years ago.
Invalidating the town's whole timeline. But the part that actually makes my skin crawl is the pickaxe scars.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Because Alien takes point, right?
Yeah.
And they notice these scars in the granite. But when you look at the angle of the strikes...
They weren't made by miners digging in.
No, they were made from the inside, hacking outward.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever was down there was desperately trying to dig their way out.
It completely reframes the space. You are walking into a tomb where people were buried alive.
Terrifying.
And it compounds when La Maestra spots something embedded in those tool marks on a wooden support beam. She digs it out, and it's a claw. An obsidian black claw.
And this is why you want a diverse party in D&D, right?
Mm-hmm.
The DM doesn't just hand them a lore dump. 3 different characters examine it and get 3 different pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, La Maestra reads the magic as dead, meaning it discharged a massive amount of energy.
Then the alien touches it and recoils.
Yeah.
He senses pure evil, but like an evil that was never alive to begin with, just an absence of life.
And finally, La Maestra identifies the physical shape as draconic, which prompts Alien to drop that incredibly chilling line.
Oh, I love this. Dead things do not always stay dead.
So good. It sets the tone for the massive cavern at the bottom. The scale is incomprehensible, rib cages the size of buildings, a 40-foot scorch mark shaped like a wing.
But amidst all that, Alien finds a patch of glass smooth stone laced with thin, warm, golden threads.
And here is where Lemaisis proves he's the tactical brain. He looks at the glassy stone, looks at the golden threads, and connects them to the bell's inscription upstairs.
Right.
He says, what if the massive thing sleeping down here isn't the monster? What if it's the prisoner?
Okay, but wait, I have to jump in here. Because if Levivius is right, and the thing is the prisoner, and the threads are bindings, does that mean the entire town of Mourningfall was just built as a giant padlock?
That is exactly the working theory they adopt. And being adventurers, they decide to test the padlock. La Maestra drags the dead obsidian claw across a golden thread.
And it just violently catches in black flame and vanishes.
Yeah.
The warmth dies. Emelian is freezing cold. They essentially just pick one of the tumblers on the lock holding this thing in.
Which forces them to confront what they're actually in the room with. Alien reveals a hidden crawl space, and Lemaivis crawls in first.
Into heavy, pooling, dry ice smoke.
Yeah, the DM makes the environment hostile just by existing. Lemaistra follows and feels this intense magical pull, the physical sensation of having forgotten something important.
Her instincts are just screaming that the space is wrong. But Lemivia spots it around a bend, a vast serpentine skeleton with teeth the size of dinner tables.
And it doesn't lunge, it doesn't roar, it just slowly turns its massive head to look at him.
The tension at the table here must have been suffocating. Because Aurelian steps directly into its line of sight to shield his party.
Right.
And the sheer concentration of evil radiating off this dead thing hits him so hard, it actively drains a portion of his divine power. He loses a part of himself just by standing there.
And this is a masterstroke of DM design. Players are conditioned to fight monsters. How do you signal that this isn't a combat encounter?
You show them it breaks the rule.
Exactly. This wasn't a bad dice roll. This entity is so overwhelmingly powerful that Tormalian's literal god has to personally intervene.
Oh my gosh, yes. Torm places a barrier of divine light directly in front of Aurelian's soul, and the creature actually recoils like a snake pulling back from a hot stove.
And Lenian stumbles backward out of the crawl space, shaking, and just flat out admits he's only alive because a god stepped in to block the hit.
It totally resets their priorities.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we need information, not a fight.
Hmm.
So they search the area and find this deliberately placed stone hiding a soft light.
They lift it, and underneath is a fragment of a glowing golden eggshell.
With a name written on it in Draconic, Salmira, and the phrase, preserved, guarded, and forgiven.
Such a massive piece of the puzzle.
Now, listener, let me be explicitly clear here. We have absolutely no idea who or what Salmira is or what was in that egg.
Nope.
And we are not going to sit here and guess, because guessing ruins the mystery. We are leaving those questions completely open. But right now, they have an eggshell, an angry god-tier serpent, and they need to run.
Yeah, fleeing that threat drops them straight into a brutal, claustrophobic nightmare. Because the danger isn't just ancient serpents, it's the people who are trapped down here with them.
Right. Icalian feels the freezing chill of the undead and hears whispers mocking him. He invokes Torm's light, pushes into the next chamber, and finds it packed with undead miners.
Led by a laughing corpse that the DM calls the foreman, and his physical description is just pure psychological horror.
Do you remember earlier in the campaign when they found the villager Nora possessed?
Yeah, and someone had written her name in blood over and over on the wall.
Well, the foreman's fingers are worn down to bone stumps, because he's the one who spent years in the dark scrawling Nora's name in his own blood to anchor the possession.
It's so disturbing, and he uses that same horrifying dedication in combat. He wields force magic, blasting them from cover while his miners swarm.
From a tactical perspective, it's a perfect crisis point.
Yeah.
Lemaistra is unleashing thunder waves, trying to blast ghouls back, but it's bringing loose ceiling stone crashing down.
And Lemasius is desperately hurling javelins and shifting curses, but the map is so claustrophobic. An undead ghoul actually tackles Lemaistra and nearly bites her face off.
And all the while, the foreman is popping out of shadows, hitting them with force magic. And then the disaster scenario happens. A ghoul rakes its claws down Alien's armor and the paladin drops.
Unconscious and dying on the cold stone floor.
And the ghoul immediately starts feeding on him.
This is the moment where it could have ended. It's almost certainly a total party wipe if he dies, but it becomes a masterclass in desperate teamwork.
I love this so much. Lemaistra abandons cover, literally leaps across the collapsing floor, hacking at the ghoul with her rapier and point-blank fire magic.
And Alivis shifts his curses onto the ghoul, drives a javelin through its ribs, and finally uses a surge of killing magic to destroy it just seconds before it finishes Aurelian off.
They burn their highest-level spell slots to pull him back from the edge, and they stabilize him together.
Right?
And Aurelian wakes up, coughing on dust, looks at his party and says he owes them a life debt. And Lemaistra just smirks and says, put it on your tab.
That is peak D&D right there.
It totally is. But there is zero time to celebrate. Surviving that ambush forces them to crawl for 10 minutes on their bellies through a bloody, cramped tunnel.
Yeah, which drops them into a lower chamber beneath the room they just fought in.
And standing there is the man orchestrating the town's nightmare, the overseer.
He's described as stylish, wearing a long coat, heavy ring of keys, and above him they can see those golden threads fighting back black smoke. And he doesn't attack, he just talks. Casually admits to murdering the holy people in town for decades, taking villagers down to resurrect his master.
Then he offers to let the rest go if Alien surrenders himself as a holy sacrifice.
But during the monologue, he makes a critical error. He boasts he was put in charge to bring back a dragon lich, and then stops mid-sentence.
He realizes he just gave away massive classified info. And in that hesitation, the human man being possessed surfaces for a second.
Right, he cries out that he only ever wanted to leave, that anyone would have swung a pickaxe to escape. It's tragic.
He's a victim trapped for 30 years. But Lavius, being Lavius, seizes the moment and asks point blank about the cracked bell and the magic wiping the town's memories.
And this is where the DM pulls the rug out, because the overseer flatly denies it. He says the forgetting is not his doing. He never touched a single mind in that town.
Wait, so he's just middle management. He's harvesting souls, but he has nothing to do with the amnesia.
Exactly. The magic required to wipe a town's memory is vastly different from his necromancy. It implies a completely different entity is responsible.
Which is terrifying. But diplomacy breaks down fast when he wants to sacrifice the paladin. So, physics takes over.
Yeah, the overseer unlocks a portal to summon more ghouls and casts magical darkness on Lemaistra.
She is instantly blind. Enilian and Levasus are holding the line. But Lemaistra, fighting completely blind, targets his lantern with a spell to make him falter.
And then she unleashes a massive thunderwave.
Just a huge shockwave, and it knocks the overseer clean off his feet and backward straight into an open pit in the floor.
Which is the beauty of tabletop RPGs. That was nobody's plan. No cinematic sword clash.
Just a bard, a spell slot, and gravity. They look down, and the possession has left him. He's just a dying, broken man.
And his final words aren't a threat. He looks up and gasps, "Is the vein still there? Tell me it was..." And then he dies.
Haunting. The magical keys rust away. But they look up, and the golden threads are still there. Whatever they're holding back is still a thread.
Right. But they don't stick around. They gather the surviving villagers and start the walk back up. And when the DM asks if they want to search for treasure, they declare, "The villagers are the treasure."
The perfect heroic moment. They save the town from the physical threat. But the psychological horror up above is far from over.
Oh, definitely. Because while they were dealing with dragon liches and necromancers, we have to talk about what the party's rogue was doing back at the tavern.
Oh my gosh, yes. The Alan J. Hooting Chronicles.
Huh.
So Alan's player couldn't make the session, right?
Yeah, so they narrativize it. Alan claims he is staying behind for field research.
And he fully commits. He tries to document the town's economy, which is impossible because they don't have one. They refuse his money for stew.
So he steals a pewter spoon to test the boundaries of the magic.
And nothing happens. No guards. He steals a second spoon. Still nothing. So he intentionally returns them, and the tavern owner just warmly thanks him.
Alan takes this as a deeply personal insult to his pride as a thief.
It's hilarious. He starts getting contradictory death tolls from the exact same person, minutes apart. So he builds a conspiracy memory map on the wall. String, pins, the whole thing.
And a villager just walks over, takes the string to tie back a curtain, and compliments his interior decorating.
He is the only sane man in an insane asylum. He toasts, "Tomorrow," and the entire tavern chants, in perfect unison, "We will remember."
He does it like 4 more times. It's like finding a glitch in a video game.
But then at 1 a.m., the comedy evaporates. Every single throat in town opens at once, and they scream in absolute unison.
And Alan bravely does the only thing a scholar can do. He writes down the exact time.
Which is fantastic. But the punchline comes the next morning. The party stumbles back, covered in ghoul blood, talking about divine intervention and dragon eggs.
And Alan just proudly holds up his notes and announces, "I counted the bowls."
Yes. And it's not a throwaway joke.
Mm-hmm.
Alan realized there are exactly as many wooden bowls in the tavern as there are people in the town.
Right, he found the town's RAM limit. The magic only has enough bandwidth to render exactly as many props as there are NPCs.
He reverse engineered the spell's hardware limit, while the others were getting eaten by ghouls. It's genuinely the best clue anyone found.
And it really is. But the relief doesn't last. The amnesia loop is still active. Which brings us to the final terrifying conversation.
The morning after. The party is debriefing, and Roger, the town drunk, is sitting nearby. And suddenly, Roger speaks up.
And he quotes, word for word, the exact phrases spoken by the overseer.
Phrases spoken a mile underground. During a fight Roger could not possibly have witnessed.
Levavius turns to him with this incredibly sharp look and asks the only question that matters. "Excuse me, how did you know?"
And that is where the DM called the session. Roll credits.
Just left them reeling with all these open mysteries.
So many questions, like what is still hiding down in that hole with the dry ice smoke?
Where did the golden threads come from?
What is the gold vein the overseer asked about with his dying breath?
Who is Salmira? What does preserved, guarded, and forgiven mean? And what was in that eggshell?
And most importantly, if the overseer didn't wipe the town's memories, who is doing it? And how did Roger know the monologue? Again, listener, we are absolutely not guessing here.
No way! Theorizing ruins the surprise. The tension is the point.
This session really was a masterpiece. Balanced, divine intervention, desperate teamwork, a physics-based boss kill, and a rogue counting soup bowls.
You expect a standard dungeon crawl, and you get a psychological thriller running on forgotten memories. And before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Okay, lay it on me.
The overseer claimed he just wanted to leave. He was just as trapped as the villagers. So, if Lavius' theory is right, and the entire town of Mourningfall was built as a prison,
Yeah.
what happens to the rest of the world when a town whose only job was to forget suddenly wakes up?
Oh, wow. That is a terrifying thought to leave on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Keep your notes handy, hold on to your spoons, and we will see you for the next campaign recap.